conversations for 20 to 30 minutes during drop-off times, when before it was just, here's the stuff, I love you, have a good weekend with your mom, and I'll see you next week. And then as soon as the order changed, then it just 180 and went completely back to not talking, no.
A father fighting stage 3 to 4 cancer, a son with a feeding tube and special needs, and a mother who used a protection order to kick the father out of their home and move her new boyfriend in while he was going through chemotherapy and radiation. This custody battle is one of the most jaw-dropping cases we have ever seen, and it is just getting started.
Mother, except when there's litigation pending?
Yes.
Okay. Is it your expectation that after this objection to referee Kesler's order is dealt with, that you will resume co-parenting?
I would like to hope so.
Well, based on your past experience, has that been the pattern?
If there's nothing going on, I believe that things would continue as normal, and there might be more communication regarding our son, yes.
Okay. I just want to remind you, I don't know if the judge and the opposing counsel are having trouble hearing you, but
Yeah.
try to address the monitor rather than me.
Yes.
How has your relationship with Al been under the new schedule? And just to be clear, when I say new schedule, the schedule that referee Kesler ordered.
It's been great. He loves seeing me come pick him up at school. He likes walking specifically out from the office. Sometimes he gets upset that I wait for him in the office. He likes walking with his teachers or his special help. Or when we going to ABA, or when we're doing like for his birthday this past weekend, we went to Chuck E. Cheese. I got to surprise him with that, and we got to be with his cousins and friends, so that was really nice. Overall, he's been very happy. There's very few behavioral issues. He wakes me up, or he doesn't wake me up in the morning. He comes in when he wakes up. And he always comes in and gives me a hug, and he shows me something fun that he's found. He recently has gotten into Rubik's Cubes, so that's pretty cool.
As far as transitioning to the more expansive schedule, do you have any instances where he's missed his mother or he's struggled with the new schedule?
Oh yes, and definitely in the beginning, he missed his mother, and it hurt me to say that, I'm sorry, but we have to stay here for now. And I try and make it easier on him by saying, hey, we can go and do this, and it's only a few more days. And I know it was a hard transition for him, and there's a couple other times when am I going to go see mom, and I'd be like, oh, a couple more days, and then he would be all right. Now that doesn't happen quite so often, but he'll talk about his mom, be like, oh, you love your mom, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, that's good. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all that comes up now.
And that period of transition that you're referring to, approximately how long did that last, if you can recall?
I would say about a month and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
But currently he's doing fine?
Yep, no issues.
Okay, and do you allow your son to reach out to his mom during parenting time if he asks?
Oh, absolutely.
And is he allowed to reach out to you during mom's parenting time?
We, especially when he broke his arm, we were doing communication. We haven't done anything like that. Like I said, we haven't, I think we've only communicated through emails. I believe she has me blocked on texting since the order changed. But I would absolutely love to have more open communication where he can get a hold of her. I have a setup on his tablet so that he can call me through a little messenger app directly to me. And I'd like to be able to get that set up for her as well so that he can call her. But I don't think she wants that kind of access from me to her in any way, shape, or form. So that's where it becomes difficult, but if she's open to it, I would like for him to have that.
Okay, based on, I realize there was a period of transition, but based on how things are going now, do you think that the schedule that Referee Kesler ordered is in your son's best interest?
I think it is. I think he's transitioned well. It might be more difficult in some ways for me and his mother, mainly for maybe his siblings on her time and more for me with my work-life balance. But I'm okay with that sacrifice for him. So as long as he's happy, I'm happy.
And as far as your long-term,
Let that sink in. This man was going through chemotherapy and radiation at the same time. He lost his sense of taste entirely. He could not eat. He was placed on a feeding tube himself. He was getting up and out of bed with almost no energy just to go pick up his son for 3 hours on weekends. And during all of this, while he was fighting for his life, the mother was using a court order to keep him away from his own child. He could not even call his son without risking going to jail. 8 months. This father went 8 months without seeing his little boy, not because he wanted to, but because the mother made sure of it.
the mother?
I feel we should be able to sit down maybe at least once or twice a month, even if just for 10 or 15 minutes to start with, to just try and work through things, even with a neutral party of some sort, just to try and work through things. I understand we aren't going to be best friends, but from the time when our son broke his arm, I know we can talk and get through things. So
And you mentioned that the mother has you blocked from texting, is that correct?
I'm pretty sure she does. She hasn't responded to anything I've sent her. Even when I've responded to emails that she sent me, I've received nothing back.
Okay, so you're willing to communicate with her, but you're getting some resistance from her side. Is that a fair summary of what you've
Yes.
testified to?
Yes, she brought our son to a dental visit. Technically on my time, but he was in school, so whoever makes the appointment, can bring him, but I would like to be involved in that. He had no cavities or anything, but I didn't get informed until right as I was picking him up, when I could have been involved in the process. But she used the insurance, oh, he's on Medicaid, I'll just deal with it, bring him, his next appointment isn't until June 23rd, so I'll just bring him to that, we get it done at the same time, you don't have to worry about it, but now he's on my insurance, as of January 12th, there's a clerical error, so it's not dated for the first of this year. But so if he's on my dental insurance now, and I'm supposed to be dealing with it, how am I supposed to be there for my son if she's gonna just undermine me like that and not tell me information? That's the issue I come with.
Would you like a requirement that she be required to share medical appointment information and things like that with you?
At least definitely prior to the day of. I mean, that would be beneficial for me. Yes.
And do you think it would be helpful to use a parenting app like Our Family Wizard or one of the apps that are designed to help divorced or not unmarried parents to communicate?
Yes, because I feel emails take her, it takes her a week to respond to my emails for anything or longer, as is evidence to her not responding to mine over a month now. And whenever she emails me or texts me, it's immediate, So I feel like with my family wizard or our family wizard, we could possibly communicate better. Maybe keep us both in check and allow us to learn how to communicate how we used to.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like Judge McNabb to be aware of that I haven't asked you about?
I don't believe so.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Ms. Rathburn?
Thank you. Well, Mr. Scott, let me ask you this. When you say that you need to communicate with her and she doesn't respond, isn't it true that that's related to discussions about the house and the equity in the house that you're demanding from her?
I'm not demanding, I'm asking if we can start discussion on it. Just not even angry, I'm just trying to move on with my life. And we own the house here, we can't ignore this forever, so
Now here is where things get really complicated. Al has ABA therapy, and those services are supposed to be provided in the home. But the father cannot accommodate in-home ABA visits because his grandparents, who he lives with, do not allow visitors due to serious health concerns. His grandfather has COPD. Any cold can turn into pneumonia. So the father has been taking Al to the ABA office instead. On the surface, that sounds like a reasonable workaround. But the entire point of in-home ABA is so the therapist can observe the child's actual environment, check safety, and work directly with the parent in the home setting. This is a major concern that the court is going to have to address, and it is not going away.
the same dentist. So I assumed that's where she would bring him, but because we were estranged there for so long, and then when I got visitation, she probably had set up around times where she had him, so she was already dealing with it. Now I have more time with him, you know, it makes it a little bit more difficult on her end, so there, he ended up on my time, and there was scheduled on my day, so she picked him up and took him, but didn't tell me until afterwards.
Okay, and you're saying that you're open to taking more time off of work and running him to the dentist in addition to this explanation you testified earlier about of having to make up hours and working 14-hour days, you're gonna be able to make time for dental appointments.
I will, yes.
Okay,
I build PTO up over time. Like currently I have 23 or 24 hours available.
okay,
Cause I had to take time off this past Friday due to him not having school. And a doctor's appointment for my migraines. So I have to build up all my PTO, and I have vacation time coming up in June. Where I get granted another 2 weeks. So that's also of use to me, to where I can use that time to go and do that.
okay, so if you take him to the next dental appointment, if that's what you wanna do, you're understanding if there's a balance that you have with that dentist, you'll have to pay that at the time?
Yes, that's my
Okay.
responsibility as well.
So would it make sense to say maybe you alternate taking him to the dentist?
That's fine. I just want to be involved and not be left out of the loop.
All right, and you're aware, this is the first time I'm hearing about the dentist. Did you reach out to your attorney and let him know this was an issue before this morning?
I let him know immediately after it happened. This was a couple months ago.
Okay, and I didn't have any, I'm telling you, as of right this moment, this is the first I've heard about it from you and not from your attorney. If there are other issues regarding communication, is it something that between you and your attorney, you could reach out to me to let me know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'd rather keep it out of these. I do think we should be able to talk about this, but I don't understand what the issue is. So I think you should
how-
ask your.
Well, let me ask you this, how many other doctor's appointments does Al have, say, in a 6-month period of time?
I believe he has a doctor appointment on June 3rd, with Dr. Margaret. I'm gonna have to double check in the, My Chart app, but
Okay.
I believe that's the
so-
only other one that's coming up. He might have a tube change coming up too, as well.
Okay, and other than the dentist appointment, I'm not hearing your testimony this morning that you don't know any other appointments that he has, is that correct?
Not any that are coming up recent, I haven't seen any. Last one was, his arm. We had some scans done with that. I believe.
Okay. You're aware that our family wizard cost, that both of you will have to share this cost? Okay. Let me go back here. Got quite a bit of testimony. Where's there a period of time, or was there about a week? That Al went to school with just boots?
With just boots.
Just boots, no shoes.
I guess when are we talking about here?
About 3 weeks ago?
I believe he always has shoes at school.
Okay, and if his shoes at school were missing or not there, you never were notified that that was the case?
That's true, yeah. I was never notified.
Okay, and who provides the shoes at school?
His mother had a pair of shoes, but I also have shoes at my home that are available in case they do not have a pair. So all I need to know is if they have a pair or not.
Okay. Have you been able to attend any of Al's school parties, such as the party for his birthday?
No, usually I'm having to make up time at work. Or ensure I don't have to make up more time on the weekend.
Did you know that for Al's birthday at school, they wanted him to bring in treats for the rest of the class?
No. And yes, he was on my time.
Did you have treats for the class for his birthday?
No, I did not, and I will admit that failure. As I said, I've been struggling with migraines. It's not been easy.
Okay, I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Carpenter.
Did you catch that? The father just testified that when there was no litigation, no court battle, the two of them were actually co-parenting beautifully. 20 to 30-minute conversations at drop-off, checking in on each other, working together for their son. But the moment the legal proceedings started up again, complete silence. One conversation in 2 months. Blocked on text. Emails going unanswered for weeks. This is not a co-parenting problem. This is a litigation problem. And the judge is watching every single word of this testimony very carefully.
Capital INTIRE, also known as Clocklin, and that is capital CLOCKLIN.
And do you swear, pardon me, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Rathburn.
Thank you. Well, Ms. McIntyre, you heard Adam's testimony about the period of time that he didn't see Al due to his cancer treatments. Is that an accurate period of time?
Yes, and it was the midweek visits on Tuesday. He did still try to take him on the weekends.
Okay. And you were willing to work with Mr. Scott to ensure that Al was properly cared for, and Mr. Scott was able to recuperate, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. As for Al's tube feedings, is this something Mr. Scott testified that he's trying to wean him off of the tube feedings? Is that your understanding of where you're at with Al and tube feedings at this moment?
We have always tried to get him to eat. However, because we don't know the cause of why he doesn't eat, we don't know if his body absorbs nutrients. At this point in time, we are still doing the feeds as instructed 4 times a day.
And are you concerned if Al misses feeds during the day?
I do get concerned because he does not eat enough to sustain himself. I mean, a little bit of meat and, graham crackers or chips isn't nutritionally dense.
Yeah. Is it your understanding from, who's the doctor that's overseeing the tube feedings?
The nurse practitioner we work with is Lindsay Drake at Helen DeVos, and then the dietitian is Maggie Horrigan, and she's also in that same office, the neurodevelopmental office at Helen DeVos.
Now, has Mr. Scott attended visits with you to the nutritionist and the nurse practitioner?
He was at the one last year. But that one was discussing more developmental things. At that point in time, they told us to continue the feeds as scheduled. And then that appointment in June that he's referring to is when he'll go back again.
Okay. And is last time we were in court, you testified that you had a flexible work schedule. Does that continue to be the case?
It does.
And so what does that mean as far as having this flexible work schedule to work for Al?
It means that I work from home a majority of the time when I have to do office work. When I do have to do home visits, I schedule those around, my children's needs, not just Al's, but all the children, so that I can still take them to school, attend all their events. Oftentimes after the kids go to bed, I'll finish up my paperwork for the day just so that I can be present throughout their day-to-day school things.
Now, have you participated in any events for Al's school since August of 2025?
Yes, because of Al's needs and because he does not have a one-on-one paraprofessional, I attend every single school event, even the ones that parents don't normally attend, like our field trip to Robinette's. It was just the kids and the teacher, but because Alan needs more assistance, I met the school bus there, was able to assist him through the field trip. I did the hawk walk, the Halloween parade, where he did not want to march with his class unless I walked the whole parade with him. But yeah, any sort of special day that throws his schedule off at school, I make sure I'm there just to offer him support.
What about his birthday? What did that look like for a school activity?
On birthdays, because we don't do food, they do hand out, usual little goodie bags. Because Alan has a love of tornadoes, I made goodie bags that had a tornado tube in them where you attach the pop bottles and the kids can make their own tornadoes at home. So I brought the goodie bags, I printed out all the instructions. He gets to stand up on a chair and they sing him the little birthday song, and then he gets to pass out his goodie bags to his friends during snack time. Just a special thing that they do for kids on their birthdays.
Now, have you been, you listened to Mr. Scott's testimony about having extra shoes at school for Alan. Was it an issue with him only having boots at the school about 3 weeks ago?
It was, his teacher brought,
You can't.
sorry.
You can't say what she said, but to your understanding, was it made an issue?
Yes.
Do you know what happened with the shoes that he had at school?
No, I found one in the lost and found. I have no idea where his shoes went.
So have you provided more shoes for him to have at school?
Yes, 2 pairs actually. So she has one set aside under her desk in case the other pair goes missing.
Okay. Now, have you had concerns about how this schedule's been going once it was implemented week to week?
Yeah, because it was very abrupt. And it separates him from his siblings, which was a little concerning to me, and it's concerning to them too. They're teenagers, but they still are like, oh, okay, he's just
Well, you can't
gone.
talk about
Oh,
what they
sorry.
Please.
Yeah,
No.
just separating from his siblings was a concern.
What about how Alan's been reacting to the new schedule?
He's okay. He's always very happy to come home. He's always very tired. He usually sleeps a lot that first night, and then we get back into our normal routine after that weekend of adjusting.
Okay. And I mean, is it still your position? Obviously, we filed this objection. What do you believe would be in Al's best interest as far as the schedule goes?
I was in full agreement with friend of the court and what they recommended, because that kept Alan and his other siblings together. So that they would transition together. It just seemed more cohesive to me.
Did that schedule allow you to be providing additional care for Alan with your schedule versus with Mr. Scott's?
Yes, because most of the days off he has from school are typically Fridays, and all the kids are home by Wednesday. So, and a lot of times on Friday, I just work from home, if I even work at all, because sometimes I can get everything done before Fridays.
Now, is it accurate? I asked Mr. Scott the question, is it accurate that his ABA therapy is gonna change up this summer?
Yes, because currently he goes on Monday and Wednesday, but when we start therapy and fun, that will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we will have to rearrange the ABA schedule to fit with therapy and fun.
Is it your understanding that the ABA therapy that Alan qualifies for, that they'll increase his home-based hours?
Yes, they have the ability to do that, especially over the summer, to help with, continuation of learning, and so that there's no loss of skills while he's out of school.
And then, do you have issues with the meeting spot at 28th Street?
Maybe not so much the spot, but the time. The time at 6 p.m. And it just seems that both of us are going out of our way to get over there when we could be exchanging just at school or ABA or daycare or what have you, instead of having to go all the way out there at 6. And also, we have to get right home, and then he's only home for a few minutes before we can start the last feeding tube of the day. And I was just hoping we could find a smoother way to do transitions.
Now, Mr. Scott complained at the end of his testimony that you're not communicating with him. And he brought up the dentist appointment as an example. How do you respond to that?
I forgot that the appointment was scheduled until they called me the day before the appointment. And because I also had a cleaning simultaneously, like Alan and I were both getting our teeth cleaned at the same time, I just took him to the appointment and brought him back to school. And then I updated Mr. Scott, hey, his teeth are good. I was already going to be there to have my own teeth cleaned. And it was literally, I just forgot till they called me. And given that I live 5 minutes from school and the dentist is much closer to our home than Mr. Scott's work, I mean, it wasn't to be a slight. I just know he is not happy with the amount of driving he has to do. He makes that clear in a lot of communication. I didn't think he'd want to sit there with me while I got my teeth cleaned. So if there was anything major, I would have called him, right then and there if they had to do anything, but it was literally just cleaning his teeth.
In the future, do you understand that you have to let Mr. Scott know ahead of time of
Yes.
any appointments if he's not aware? Okay. And would you have any disagreement if he took him to the next dental appointment?
No, that's fine. I'm driving there myself to have my own teeth cleaned, and I honestly don't know whose day it is at that point in time. If he wants to meet us there, that's fine. If it's his day, he can take him, but
As to his Mr. Scott's testimony that you refused to talk to him about things regarding Alan, do you say that that's true?
no, I refuse to discuss the house and assets when we are trying to co-parent with Alan. It always turns back to the house, and I literally have to keep redirecting him throughout text, throughout email, to say we need this to focus on the child, not the other problems. That is the civil case. We will deal with that in civil court. It has nothing to do with our child.
Have you been open to communicating or with Alan when he's with Mr. Scott, or vice versa by FaceTime or other video conference?
Yeah, especially when Adam was very sick. following his radiation treatments, Al's to FaceTime. Especially because that first day he was expecting Dad to pick him up, and Dad called me and I was at the grocery store. So I quick ran to school and got Alan, and we were able to FaceTime once we got home so he could understand Daddy's stomach hurts, and they had a conversation, and it helped ease the transition.
So moving forward though, is that something you're open to, that Al would have access for both parents to do video FaceTimes?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that Mr. Scott has raised the question with you and you've not discussed?
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
Okay. And his request to use Our Family Wizard, are you familiar with that app?
Yes.
And you've used it before, correct?
Correct.
Do you think it's necessary in this case?
I do. It was part of the friend of the court recommendation as well.
Oh, okay. So you're in agreement to implement that. Okay, great. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I want to call you by the name you're using. It's Miss McIntyre now?
Yes.
Okay. Miss McIntyre, did you reach out to Adam when you received the unused tube feeding supplies back?
No, because Mr. Scott had sent me an email stating that he did not do all the feeds.
Okay, did he explain why?
He just said he was busy driving, but I feed him in the car every single day with the feeding pump. I take it with me to work if I have to, so that if we have to drive somewhere, or if we have an event after school, I can hook him up and he still gets fed.
Okay. So was there even an attempt by you to communicate with Mr. Scott that you thought he should have been giving the tube feedings, or to ask if he had been given alternate food? How did you work through that?
Given that Mr. Scott has attended all the appointments with the dietitian, I assumed he is aware that he needs to be feeding his child the TV.
Do you disagree with Adam's testimony that you guys are supposed to be introducing quote unquote normal food?
Which we do, but I volunteer in the lunchroom. I watch him. He does not eat any food during the school day. He might.
And that is where we leave part 1. A father who fought cancer, lost 8 months with his son, works 14-hour shifts to make ends meet, and is still showing up every single day. School, ABA therapy, feeding tube, migraines and all. His testimony paints a picture of a man who has been pushed to the edge but refuses to give up on his child. But we have only heard one side of this story. In part 2, the mother takes the stand, and what she reveals about the dentist, the shoes, the tube feedings, and the custody schedule will completely change how you see this case. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss part 2. It drops very soon, and trust me, it only gets more intense from here.